And today's word is monumental. Monumental. Something is monumental. So what does this word mean? Well, it means something very important and having great influence, especially as the result of years of work, a long time. So it comes from the noun monument, right? So sometimes a country or a city will make a monument, right? A statue. If you think of the Mount Rushmore monument in the US, they carved 4 huge faces out of a mountain as a monument to the founding presidents of the United States. Here in Canada, we have just had our Remembrance Day, remembering the people who died in the wars. And there are several monuments. And these are designed to memorialize, or to remember certain things. But we use this as an adjective to describe something that took a long time to do or make, right? Like a monument. So, I'm going to do a little sample sentence here, like getting a university degree is a monumental achievement, right? If you achieve that, it takes years of work, lots of effort, some failures, some ups and downs, you overcome some challenges, and then finally you achieve your university degree, okay? Let's say this, another example. Acquiring or getting fluency and proficiency. Fluency is the ability to speak a lot. Proficiency is the ability to speak well, accurately. Acquiring fluency and proficiency in English is a monumental challenge. You know me, guys. I don't like to paint a fluffy picture of the challenge you have attempted. You're trying to learn English. It's hard, right? I'm going to tell you the truth. It's not easy, so don't expect it to be easy. It is very challenging. And when you finally get to a stage of development where your English is fluent, you can speak freely, and proficient, you can speak and communicate clearly, that's a monumental challenge. And when you get that, when you are at that stage, you should be very proud of yourself. I'm just going to change one little thing here, guys. And I'd like to say hi to Shadman Tabarov. Shadman is from Tajikistan, but he's in China, I think. Great. Okay, guys, so the word is monumental. It means huge, impressive, wonderful, especially as the result of a lot of work, like learning a language, or getting a degree, or building a monument. Now I want you to try using this word in your sentence. So write a sentence in the chat box and try to use this adjective. We have an example already. Chris Derboven has an example. The Antwerp Cathedral is a monumental building. So she's using monumental in front of a noun. Perfect, right? Excellent sentence, Chris. Thank you. Monumental building, right? It's a huge, beautiful structure, intricate design. It probably took a lot of effort and time and a lot of work to build that cathedral. Well, I've never seen it, just in pictures. But someday I'll visit and see it in person. Okay. Shadman, hopefully I'm saying your name correctly. Thank you for joining us. I think you're a first-time viewer of the show. So welcome, welcome, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here. Guys, if you're just joining the show for the first time, please say hello in the comment thread and tell me what country you're watching from. As you can see, there are a lot of different countries represented here. It's great to bring everyone together. I love that. Okay, let's see some examples of this adjective, guys. Here are mine. You can borrow that structure if you want and just pour some different words in. Getting a university degree is a monumental achievement. Acquiring fluency and proficiency in English is a monumental challenge, right? Adjective modifying that noun. Okay. Anyone else have an example? Anyone else have a second example? Chris, do you have another example? Yeah, what is your English mystery? Start thinking about some questions we can talk about. Raja is joining us from Pakistan. Welcome, Raja. Thank you for joining us. Okay, we have Carmen's example. Writing the constitution that drives a country requires a monumental effort. Excellent. One thing I would say though, Carmen, the word country is a noun, but it's not a proper noun, so it doesn't need a capital letter. The name of the country, Canada, Peru, Brazil, that needs a capital, but the simple noun country doesn't. Okay, great. Luza Ang has an example. She says, being able to speak English is a monumental experience. So she has the adjective and then the noun. Great. Excellent sentence, Luza. Thank you. Anyone else want to try? Don't be afraid. Nothing bad will happen. Everyone is welcome and everyone is safe here. Everyone's respected. Okay, Wilson has an example. After a long try, and fortunately with the help of teacher Paul and the Conversation Cafe, my understanding in the English language is a monumental achievement. Excellent sentence, Wilson. By the way, Wilson attends the weekly Conversation Cafe. So does Chris Terboven. Okay, she has another example. The series of art history books on Rubens is monumental. Yeah, it's a large series, isn't it? Great. I'd like to say hello to Kaniz Fatima from Pakistan. Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello, hello. Maria Christina has an example. Taking part in an exchange program is a monumental achievement. Absolutely. It's a monumental challenge, right? It's a monumental experience. It's a monumental process. Great. Ria's got an example. Ria says, changing a job with a new skill is a monumental challenge. Yeah. I know because I became a teacher in my 40s, right? After I was 40 years old. In my mid-40s, I became an English teacher. So I know what it's like to change your career, learn new skills. It's a monumental challenge. But you can do it. If you're doing it, Ria, you can do it. Anyone else have an example? Got time for just a couple more. Okay. While I wait for any new examples, I'm going to clear the board. By the way, teachers out there, if you want to get some beautiful whiteboard cleaner, the link is below in the description box. This is a fantastic product. Not the least reason is that it dries very quickly. So you don't have to wait for it to dry. You can write on the board almost exactly the moment you've finished it. Okay. Carmen's got an example here. Rebuilding the bridge proved to be a monumental job. Yes, absolutely. We're going to have to do that in BC where I live because there's been some terrible rainfall that has washed out some of the highways and bridges. And parts of the country are separated. So it's a big monumental job. Takes a long lot of work. Great. Okay, Chris Derboven says, becoming a live streamer at the age of 65 is monumental. It really is. It really is, Chris. However, it can be done. If someone is 65 years old and wants to become a live streamer, you can do it. There's no law against it. All you need is a bit of training on the technology and the will to do it. I didn't plan to be a live streamer until last year, and I thought, I'll be a live streamer. It's just like teaching in a class, except I'm not with my students, except virtually. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. Luza says, sharing English experiences, knowledge, and life is monumental. I agree, Luza, especially when we share it with people around the world, like we are right now. We're all in different countries, and yet we're sharing this knowledge, we're sharing our ideas, we're sharing our sentences. That's cool. I think that's really cool that we can do this. When I was a kid, when I was in my 20s, my teenagers, none of this was possible. We couldn't even imagine it. So young people now may not appreciate it, but this is a fantastic ability we have. Okay, Roni's got an example. Keeping patience to learn English is monumental. Yes, monumental patience. Right? It takes time. It takes a lot of time and a lot of work. Great. Okay, guys, let's move on. Let's say goodbye to our word of the day. And let's move on to some questions. What's your English mystery, guys? What would you like to know about English? What do you want to know or have clarified? Is there something about English that confuses you that you'd like to talk about, have me talk about, or answer a question? So write your questions in the comment box, and please try to make your questions clear and simple. Sometimes in the comment thread I see some really long explanations that don't really look like questions, so I'm not sure how to answer it. So keep your questions clear and direct, okay? What do you want to know about English? Let's see what we can come up with. In the meantime, I'm going to say hello to anyone I've missed. No? Okay, we're caught up. Any questions, guys? What would you like to know about English? Now you know monumental. It's another adjective you can use instead of good, right? Who's got a question? If you don't have a question, that's cool. I have a couple standing by that were sent to me earlier in the week. So we can get to those too. Chris Derbovin, I have a question for you. We have a question here on the list about light in the room. Can we pop that up on the screen? And the bottom one. Chris, I'm kind of confident we answered this before on the show. Do you remember? Because I think this was your question. Did we answer this for you? I think we did. Carmen's got a great question. Let's talk about this. Okay. Carmen's asking about when to use listen and hear. So it sounds like Carmen knows the basic idea of listen and hear. Both relate to our sense of hearing, right? Our sense of sound going in our ear. But I think she also senses that there's a little difference. So what is the difference? First of all, let's think of the meaning. Okay, let's pop it over here. Listen and hear. Okay, hear, let's start with hear. Hear is passive. You don't have to do anything and you hear stuff, right? Sometimes during the day when I'm working at home, I hear somebody working outside with a loud machine, you know, in the garden, like a leaf blower or weed whacker or lawnmower in the summer. It's really loud. I don't want to hear it, but I hear it. My ears are open, so the sound comes in. I have no choice. I'm passive, okay? So I have no choice, and it requires no attention. And sometimes when you hear something, it's bad. You don't like it. It's annoying. You don't want to hear that noise. Trust me, I don't want to hear that noise because during the day I'm working online with students on Zoom or something, I need to hear them clearly to help them with pronunciation or something. But I hear the noise. I can't stop it. The sound goes into my ears, okay? Sometimes during the day, if I have a few moments free, like making my lunch or something, I like to listen to music. And by the way, listen always works with the preposition to. Listen to something. Now, listening is active. It uses your attention. Right? You have to put your brain, tell your ears to direct your attention to that. Okay, I'm listening to the music. Even though the lawnmower is making the noise, I don't want to listen to that. I want to listen to the music. So I'm kind of turning my ear that way. So listening is active. You choose to listen, right? Uses attention and choice. Oops. Okay. Here, no choice. The sound just comes in. It's the passive ability of your ears. Listen is like, okay, let's listen. I think I hear a mouse. It's very quiet. Yeah, I heard him. Right? I'm using my attention. I'm directing my brain power to the sound. It's very similar to the visual senses, right? We can say, see. You walk down the street, you see everything. Everything in front of you goes in your eyes. Even bad stuff that you don't want to look at. Right? Stuff you don't want to look at. A pile of garbage. You see it, but you don't want to look at it. You want to look at something beautiful like nature or children playing in the playground, something happy. So seeing is passive. It gives you no choice, no attention. The similar one up here is watch. Right? You watch a movie. You watch television. You watch someone do something. Right now, you guys are watching me. Yes, it's true you're also seeing me, but you're choosing to turn your eyes and your ears to me, hopefully to learn something. So right now on my show, you are not seeing and not hearing me, really. You are listening and watching to the show because it requires your choice and your attention, right? So Luza has an example here. I can hear the cars passing by. Okay, so the second half needs a bit of fixing. Luza, we should say, I can listen to Paul. It's always listen to. That's one thing you guys have to remember. We always listen to something. Right? When you put a noun over here, you need the preposition to. Listen to music. Listen to my mother. Listen to Paul speaking. Okay? Yes, you're paying attention to me. You're using your active choice to pay attention to me by listening and watching. Because your eyes could see anything in the room. Right? But you're focused on me. That's watching. Okay? I think I missed one before Chris. What came before Chris? Okay, Wilson has a question about nouns acting as adjectives. However, Wilson, before I answer that question, I would like to direct you to the video. There's an episode of English Weirdness that explains that very, very fully and better than I can do it on the show here. So go to the YouTube channel and look for the video in English Weirdness Season 1. The video is called How to Use Nouns as Adjectives. It's very clear. Better than I can do here on the board. What else do we have? Let's talk about Liping's question. Okay, so she's talking about the case. The case means the situation or the example that we're talking about. So often we'll say, I don't know, I'm going to think of something silly, Liping, so bear with me. I eat pizza every day. Right? Every day. But, or however, in this case, let's put another sentence here. Every day, comma, but not today. Right? So today is the case. Today is what I'm talking about now. I'm going to say, however, in this case, I didn't because I didn't want to be sleepy for the show. I like to eat pizza, not every day really, but when I eat pizza, I kind of get sleepy. So before this live show, I don't want to be sleepy for you guys. I want to be energetic, Teacher Paul. So before the show, I tend not to eat a lot. So in this case, I chose not to eat pizza. In this case, in this example. Another example of using that in this case would be, well, first sleeping, you have to identify the case. You have to present the case. Not today. Okay? So here's another example. These pens I use by Arteza pens, they're excellent. Right? They can write clearly, although my handwriting's not very good. They can erase cleanly. Right? In this case, it did not erase cleanly. Why? Because I did that, okay? So in this case, in this example. So we could summarize by saying in this case, it means this example, right? This example or this situation. Now we know what a case is. A case is an example situation. Hello to Mark Zeggers, who's joining us now. Mark, I believe, is in Toronto, Canada. Old friend of mine. Nice to see Mark every time he tunes into the show. Okay. So Li Ping's other sentence is, can you pop that up again? If this is the case. Okay. So this is very different, Li Ping. It still means this, if this is the case, right? But this is a conditional sentence. This is a condition. So if this is the case, that's the condition. We need a result. So let's say the case today. I did not eat pizza. I eat it every day, but not today because it's live show day, and I don't want to be bloated and sleepy for the show. So today I did not eat pizza. That's the case we're talking about, the example situation. Okay, so if this is true, what's the result? If this is the case, that I did not eat pizza, the result is, now I'm hungry. That's the result. Why? Because of this case. So, if you're going to say if this is the case, now I'm hungry, right? If this, then this. So when you have that word if, you're suggesting an entire new grammar structure, right? In this case is just pointing to the case, just introducing it. In this case, I'm explaining some grammar. Okay? Does that make sense, Li Ping? Okay, let's go back to Luza's example. Okay, so this is... Here, we still need that to. You can't use listen without to. You have to say listen to, right? Or you have to say, I said, I can hear that Paul is speaking to us. Because if you're just talking about your basic ability to take sounds in, that's here, right? We have a good sentence here, a good question here by Rie about the word belong. Okay. How can I use belong? For example, he doesn't belong here. Okay, good. Well, first of all, it's good to know definitions. What does belong mean? Well, belong has several types of meaning. One is part of something. So, for example, this cap, look at these caps on these pens. This is red, this is blue. This is red and the cap is blue. So this red cap does not belong with this blue pen, and this blue cap doesn't belong with this red pen. It's the other way around. The red pen, the red cap belongs to the red pen. It's part of it. Now it's complete. The blue cap belongs to the blue pen. Now they're complete, right? I don't know what else I can show you. Well, here's a sword. Just happen to have a sword here. We have the sword itself, right? It's a toy, don't worry, I'm not going to cut my head off. And we have what we call the scabbard or sheath, and this belongs to the sword, right? They belong together. Together they form a whole, right? Or we have Mr. Potato Head, right? And the hat belongs to Mr. Potato Head. It's part of Mr. Potato Head. We could also say he owns it, right? The way I own this jacket. The jacket belongs to me. So that's the other meaning. Belong also means owned by. Okay? Now there's one more meaning that I think you're using, which is appropriate. An appropriate part of something. Okay, so what does that mean? What the hell does that mean? Your example says he doesn't belong here. He doesn't belong here. Okay, so one day Ria is at the restaurant and she's in the woman's washroom. Okay, suddenly a man walks into the woman's washroom and she says, "Hey, he doesn't belong here." Now, which meaning are we talking about? Owned by? No. Part of something? Maybe. He's not part of the woman's washroom. He is part of the men's washroom. So this is this meaning, appropriate part of something. It's not appropriate for him to be in the woman's washroom. He doesn't belong there. He belongs somewhere else. Just like this cap belongs to this pen, the red cap, it's not appropriate for this pen. It doesn't really fit perfectly, right? The other thing to think about, besides the definition, the meaning, is the grammar. What kind of word it is. When you learn new words, it's really important to learn the part of speech. Is it a noun? Is it an adjective? Is it a verb? And in English, it's especially important, dear, because sometimes we have words that can be verbs and they can be nouns. And depending on which use it is, the meaning is different and the way you use it in the sentence is different. Fortunately, belong is only a verb, right? So here's our subject, which is a noun. We have the auxiliary verb, we have the negative, and we have an adverb. Okay? He doesn't belong here, but you could also say he belongs. Oh, my pen is dead. He belongs. Oh, maybe that's still wet. That's why. Maybe that magic chemical isn't so magic. Okay. He belongs. So he doesn't belong here. He belongs there in the men's washroom, right? So belonging is the process or the act of being a part of something, right? We have an example from Franco, teacher Franco, Franco the tutor, who's also from Peru, right, Franco? Teachers like Paul belong to a different generation that is making a big difference in this world. Well, thank you, Franco. So Franco is much younger than me, right? He's a teacher that's similar. We're both teachers of English, so we have a similarity. But he's a much younger guy. He's a fantastic teacher. He was a guest on the show recently. Fantastic teacher, fantastic educator. I really admire what Franco's doing. But we are different generations, right? He's a young man. I'm a middle-aged man, getting close to being an old man. So he's saying I belong to a different generation, right? I belong to a generation that's older than his. I was born in the 1960s. Let me put it that way. Franco, you were probably born in the late 90s, early 2000s, right? That's a different generation. So we kind of belong to generations. That's what we mean, part of something. I'm part of a different generation. Okay. Oh, I'd like to say hello to Denise. Denise from Bolivia. We have Bolivia in the house. Fantastic. Very, very cool. Lots of countries represented here tonight. It's great. Guys, I'm going to pause for a moment. Clear the board. Leah, I hope that clears that up, right? Don't be afraid, guys, to use the dictionary. The dictionary will tell you the definition of a word, its meaning. It will also tell you what part of speech it is, noun, verb, adjective, etc. And that will tell you how to use it in a sentence. And I think that's important. And I think now that we're learning languages and using computers, we're tending not to use dictionaries. But I still believe a dictionary, whether it's a computer dictionary or a paper one, is essential for learning a language. I think it's essential. Not a translator. That's not essential. A dictionary. Okay, guys, did I miss any questions? We have time for maybe a couple more questions. Are we all caught up? Anyone else have a question we want to talk about? What's your English mystery? What's your question? What confuses you about English? This is your chance to get that mystery cleared up. Have you ever wondered, why do people say this instead of this? What's the difference between this and this? This show is here to answer those questions. So put your thinking cap on and tell me what your English mystery is. Any ideas, guys? Denise says, I have 2 big and heavy English dictionaries. Fantastic. One thing that's important, guys, as I said, I prefer you not to use translators because translators can be problematic. Sometimes they translate the word's meaning directly into your language, but sometimes we don't use that word that way you do in your language. I'll give you an example. Recently, a Japanese student translated the word tokuni. Tokuni, Rie? Do you know tokuni? And they learned that it means especially. But in Japanese, you can start a sentence with that word. Tokuni, blah, 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 blah. In English, you can't start a sentence with especially. You can't say, especially, pizza is delicious. So the meaning is the same, but the way we use it in the sentence is different. So a translator doesn't really help you. Okay? It's better to learn the word's meaning in English and then find out how to use it in the sentence. In English, this word should be here because it modifies delicious. Pizza is especially delicious because it means pizza is delicious in a special way. So tokuni, same meaning, but different sentence function, different place. Okay, we have 2 questions. It's probably enough to take us to the end of the show. So let's look at Wilson's first. Put up. Okay. Put up can mean a couple of things. Put up, like I can put up a sign on the wall. Here. There's always something here. This is a Christmas decoration. And I'm going to put it up on my board. Right? I'm going to put it up. So it's a phrasal verb which has kind of two layers of meaning. One is to put it on the board. I put it on the board. But it's also up, so everyone can see. Or you put up a sign in the public. Put up an advertisement. So we can just simply mean, on the one hand, it can mean to post high and visibly. Okay? Paul put up a Christmas decoration. But there's also this expression, put up with something. Okay? And that has a different meaning, Wilson. It means tolerate or accept. Usually something negative. Usually something negative. So I gave you the example earlier that I hear a lot of noise in my neighborhood during the daytime. A lot of construction noise, gardening noise. Well, I don't really have a choice. I work from home. I work at my desk. I can't make them stop, so I have to put up with it. I have to tolerate the noise or accept the noise. So this is a little different because now we have to add this to connect the noun. Put up with the noise. Okay? What else do we have? Okay, Li Ping has a question. I'm going to need to draw some art, Li Ping, so give me a moment to clear the board. Now, as cultures change, and all cultures change over time, they evolve, they alter, they mix from other cultures, get influences. New things appear in the culture. 100 years ago, 20 years ago, there were no cell phones. They appear in the culture, and we have to create language to describe this new part of the culture. When this happens, sometimes we either create words or we create idioms or metaphors. I'll give you an example. When computers first appeared, they had this crazy little object with a cable attached to it. They're like, wow, this is a controlling unit or a manipulator. They were trying to think of what to call it. It was new. No one had ever used this before because it didn't exist. Somebody had said, well, I don't know what to call it, but it looks like a mouse because it has a tail and it's short and stubby like the little animal. So because it looks like a mouse, we called it a mouse. Now it's a mouse. So that's a metaphor or a simile to describe something new in our culture. This is how idioms are created. Okay? I'm going to tell you about on the spot and in the spotlight. Let me see if I can draw something here. I'm not sure I can. So in theater, drama, right? You have a stage, right? And this is a stage and the audience is here watching it. There's an orchestra here. And the actor appears. And the actor comes onto the stage. Now a theater is in a dark room, right? The theater's all dark. And then the drama starts. I'm not talking about a movie. I'm talking about a live stage production, a drama. And there's lights, right? Lights. And in this dark room, sometimes there's one light. That's called a spotlight. And the light comes from above, and it comes down here. All this is dark, right? All of this is dark. And there's this one piece of light because it's a spotlight. For example, right now my studio is lit with lights, but it creates a large, everything's lit. Here, they direct the light very focused and tight to one spot, right? Everything else is dark, but there's one little circle of light on the stage, and that is where the actor appears. Sorry, I'm a terrible artist. And the actor speaks. Sometimes, not always. Or maybe a musician, right? The guitarist appears and then the band appears later. This is a spotlight. So, when that actor or musician is in the spotlight, they are the only thing we can see. Okay? At the same time, they are on the spot. Okay? Now, not everyone goes to the theater anymore. It used to be a very, very common, popular form of entertainment before movies were created and invented. So this expression entered the cultural language use because life is a little bit like this, right? Sometimes one person in a room, like a business meeting, one person becomes the focus, okay? And everyone turns to them and waits to hear what that person has to say. They're around a business table. And, okay, Paul, explain yourself. I don't know. I'm in the spotlight because everyone's looking at me, and I'm on the spot. I have to speak. It's my turn to speak. So, in the spotlight means focused on. Everyone is focused on that person, okay? On the spot means you have to take action, speak, with no preparation. You just have to do it. Someone asks you, hey, Paul, what do you think about changing the show time? Hadn't thought about that. I have no idea. But I'll think of it. When you're on the spot, it means someone's asking you a question and you have no preparation for the answer, right? A good friend of the show, Anish Daya, my co-host of the podcast, he has a language program in Toronto called On the Spot Language. And this is what he does with his students. He and his students go out into the city and Anish makes them go and talk to strangers, right? They have no preparation. They have some language preparation, but they don't know who they're going to talk to, and they don't usually know what to say. But that's language. And that program is designed to make you think of your language and your sentence to say in that moment, on the spot, no preparation. Okay, it's really effective. But that's where it comes from. It's an idiom or a metaphor originally from theater. Now that we've talked about it, look for this when you watch your favorite musical artist, especially singers. You know, when they just sing and there's a big group behind them. Usually there's a spotlight on the singer. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. Wilson says, you got me on the spot. Well, maybe that means embarrassed. It might. Your reaction to being on the spot is your choice. Everyone reacts differently, right? But being on the spot doesn't mean you're feeling about it. It just means someone has asked you something or asked you to do something and you have no preparation. You didn't know it was going to happen, right? And you're on that spot. Wilson, for example, in the conversation cafe, you guys don't know the question that we ask before the cafe. So when it's your turn, you are on the spot. Alternatively, guys, right now, I'm in the spotlight, right? Your focus is on me. I'm the only one here. I'm not literally in the spotlight because I'm not using a spotlight. I'm using several lights. But I'm metaphorically in the spotlight because I am the center of your focus, right? Okay, Ria says this. She says, I learned that, put you on the spot when I asked people on the street from Anish as well. Yes. So I think, Ria, you went through Anish's program, right? And he put you on the spot. He made you do something and you weren't prepared and you were nervous. Maybe you're embarrassed. So Wilson, you could be embarrassed, but that's not the meaning. The meaning is what comes before the feeling. What comes before the embarrassment is, hey, you do it. Your turn. You do it. Right? Actually, guys, every day we do this show, you put me on the spot because I don't know what questions you're going to ask. So I'm on the spot in this show. Absolutely. I'm in the spotlight because I'm your focus. You're all paying attention to me. But you put me on the spot when you ask me a question because I don't know what question you're going to ask. So when you ask that question, I have to quickly think of an answer, or if I don't know the answer, a way to explain it, right? But I enjoy that. It's fun. So don't be afraid of being on the spot. Maybe sometimes, Wilson, I have to think about it and maybe I make a silly face. I don't care. I don't feel embarrassed. I'm used to it. Part of being a teacher in front of people, can't be embarrassed, right? You're going to do silly things. You have to act silly sometimes. You have to be on the spot and not sure of an answer, have to think about it. Doesn't matter. Do your best. Guys, we're almost out of time. So I see a question here by Denise and Chris. Those questions are going to require a little more time. I'm going to answer them next week, okay? But I have a quick one here from Chris, Maria Christina, that I believe I can answer before the camera switches off. So, Denise and Chris Derbovin, I'll answer your questions next week, I promise. Or if you come to the Conversation Cafe, I can answer them there. But Maria Christina, I think I can answer yours pretty quickly. So her question is specially and especially. They look pretty similar, right? I know, it's confusing. Okay, specially means made, designed in a special way, or for a special purpose. Okay? Usually with technology or manufactured things. Think of an example here. Well, let's go back to the sword. Okay? We have a sword here. And we have the blade, and we have the scabbard or sheath. And this is made, specially made, for the sword. They fit perfectly. This is made for this. This is made in a special way, designed in a special way. So, sorry, this is an adverb. Right? Made specially. Okay. Especially means in particular. In a particular intensity. Okay. So we use this differently. This is regularly used to describe, first of all, it is an adverb, but it's often used to describe adjectives like this. This pizza is hot. Okay, hot is our adjective. Is it just regular hot? No, it's especially hot. It's hot in an intense or a particular way. Not like the other kinds of hot. Usually a pizza is hot. This one's really hot. So it's especially hot. This is an adverb intensifying the adjective. This doesn't work that way. This is used to describe a verb. Okay? So we have the verb here and we have the adverb. This is a specially made sword, right? Specially made. Made in a special technique, special way, just for the other part, right? These caps are specially made to fit. They don't fall off. They don't just make these any way they want to. Hey, make me some caps. I don't care how big or small they are. No, they're made in a special way to fit. Especially is modifying the adjective. This is especially hot. It's especially cold right now. Particularly cold. Okay? Oh, Nok is joining us from Vietnam. Hi, Nok. Welcome, welcome. Denise has an example here. In my class, I was on the spot when I have to answer my teacher question. Exactly, right? When your students ask you a question, they're putting you on the spot because you don't know what the question is, right? You have no way to prepare for it. So it's true, you're on the spot. You're also in the spotlight because everyone's looking at you. You're the focus. So they can be true at the same time, just as the theater example. The actor can be in the spotlight, right? In, because the light surrounds them, and they're on that spot on the floor. Both are true at the same time. The meaning is slightly different. Okay, guys, we're out of time. I have to get going. Thank you very much for joining the show tonight. We'll be back here next Friday night, 7 p.m. or Saturday morning if you're in Asia. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. It's always a pleasure to help you understand this crazy language better. So I appreciate it. I'm going to go down the list and say my thank yous to everyone. Because some people come on the show and leave earlier, that's fine. We have Luza tonight. We had Wai Ha from Korea. Hassan from Bangladesh joined us. I think it was a Facebook user from HA Career Academy. I'm not sure who that was. Wilson from Ecuador joined us. Roni from Bangladesh. Danny from Canada. Yes, Danny Stone, Coach Stone. Check him out online. Li Ping from Mexico. We had Chris from Belgium. We also had Chris from Brazil. Ria from Japan. Afzal from Pakistan. Carmen from Peru. Shodman from China. From Tajikistan, I think. Raja from Pakistan. Kaniz from Pakistan. Mark Z from Toronto. Franco the Tutor, live from Peru. Denise. Is it Denise or Denise? I'm not sure. From Bolivia. Thank you for joining us. And Nok from Vietnam. We also have, just joining us now, Tron from Vietnam. I think you're from Vietnam, Tron. The show is just ending, Tron. Sorry. I'm not sure if you realize, but in Canada we changed our time back 1 hour last couple weeks ago. So the show now starts 1 hour earlier. Anyways, thank you for joining the show, everyone. I'll see you next Friday night for another episode of Hard Boiled English Live. Don't forget to check out my series on my web channel, English Weirdness. There's a new episode there. Subscribe to the channel. Join my conversation class. And I'm available for private lessons if you need extra help. Okay? You can also tune in and listen to the new podcast. Where am I? Called the Ego Education Podcast with my co-host Anish Daya and John McGraw. Thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you stay well, stay healthy. And until next Friday night, when I see you again,